after they had described this act as an act of injustice. For market women, the extortion ranges from unwarranted taxation, land rent, area boys tax, omonile, local government levy, tax force levy, amongst others. And this has become an issue for them because they have to make their daily living. Unmasking the Truth today on your radio station would focus on market corruption and how it affects women. From the gender lens, we are looking at this today. Unmasking the Truth, we look at how these extortions affect women who are trying to survive in these hard times. My name is Esther Alaribe. Unmasking the Truth is an initiative of St. Ives Communication in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. Market women in Nigeria share different stories on how difficult things have become for them and how this issue of corruption in the marketplace affects them. This is what they have to say.
The thing they affect us in different ways because there are some taxes what we say that they give us, what we say we don't even know the work where the team work. So the thing at times we but we don't know the essence, we don't know the benefits we are benefiting from that thing. And again, when they get really good, like the Thursday environmental taxes, so say if you open your shop, they're not can you have to pay money for them to open it. At times it's not fair because for you to even clean up, you have to open your shop, but they meet you between the hours of 8 to 10 o'clock, it will still be so it will affect our business. And you know the increment of things for markets, maybe say the prices of things they go up. At times money we're supposed to use buy markets, those that pay for all these national taxes plus house rent and light money, so it will affect us.
Truly, all of this put together is enough to disturb anybody at their place of business. Listening to the voices of women, struggling mothers who work so hard to have a legal means of income, being frustrated with the issue of corruption every single day in Nigeria, it is very, very sad. It shows that the society has to do better for us to get better. My guest today is Patricia Puregold Izechi, Legal Coordinator, Project Women and Youth Network. How are you doing today, Patricia?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Yes. So you've heard about the audios of these market women, what they have to go through in the hands of these tax force officials in a bid for them to just sell their wares. What are your thoughts on this first? Because how can we continue to live like this? The economy is harsh. These women are just trying to just sell something to make a living. But what do we have?
Well, it's the situation is very worrisome because there are two significant aspects to this particular issue. We have women that are trying so hard to make a living in a society and in a country that doesn't care much about the poor. And on the other side, we have the government trying to keep everywhere in order, trying to regularize things and make sure that there are no security threats. You know, and I remember it was said some time back that part of why they insist on these market women paying taxes or even the street hawkers and, you know, there are prohibitions and all that, because there's actually a law, you know, in that is to ensure that, you know, the security threats are minimal and that, like, I think it was put somehow that they were environmental nuisance, you know, so, and it's okay to have to deal with security, but you have to deal with survival and livelihood first. You have to take care of that first, and if you take care of that, security threats will not emerge. Because when people are hungry, they are angry, and angry people do mad things, they can do violent things, they can do a lot of things, you know. So we need to come down to the basics and find out how we can solve this problem for these market women, especially when they feel that they are trying to make a living. There's no support. If there was some kind of support for them and they can feel it, they understand it, they identify with it, then they are ready to make payments for whatever it is that should be done. So far as the payments is something they understand, they identify with, and they can bear. So it's so important that we have leaders that show empathy. A lot of emotional intelligence is important in leadership. It's not just about your security. It's about the survival of the next person. And if leaders can sit down or have there's a group that I belong to, we actually go to these market women. We sit down with them and hear their woes and their troubles, and we try to build their capacity, to withstand.
As we get to talk about corruption, Patricia, so remember when the last woman spoke, where she said that even on these environmental days, they get to meet you in your shop. I've actually experienced one before. This woman was actually opening her shop to pick out the cleaning tool she was going to clean her shop with, and they met her there. They locked the shop, took the keys away, and this woman started complaining, saying, "This one that these people have met me here, I'm going to spend at least 5,000 naira to get the keys to unlock the shop." And the woman was trying so hard to show them that this was what I went to pick. There's nobody here. I'm not attending to anybody. All of that, please, fell on deaf ears. Nothing. And truly, this woman had to go all the way. She had to source for 5,000 naira that morning to get them. Now, talking about this kind of monies, what accounts are they remitted to?
That's what I really don't know. I guess they will tell you.
It boils down to corruption.
Yes, it boils down to corruption, because they will tell you, oh, they are remitting it to the maybe local government or whatever agency. So it still boils down to corruption, and it still boils down to the fact that the people is women. I'm sure these women and these traders and these shop owners, they have an association. They should walk through their leaders. They should walk through their leaders. The tax force or the government that is collecting levies should walk through their leaders and tell their leaders, tell your people this is what is demanded. And then the leaders will get back to the government and say, okay, this is what we want, so that we'll do what you want. Can you meet us at a point? Apparently, they don't have, maybe the shopkeepers, maybe they don't have leaders, the shop owners, the market women who are going through this, maybe they don't have leaders, because with a leader, they can speak, they will have a voice. Maybe there's nobody to speak for them.
Even the leaders have been oppressed too, but that's another thing. Thank you so much, Patricia, for that. Unmasking the Truth looks at the effects of corruption from the gender lens. I want to take us back on the streets, and let's hear more comments from the traders on the corrupt practices that they have to face and deal with every single day.
Tenement rates, table one day, near shop. Now, Afro. Ụgwọ a bụ ihe a na-akwụ n'aka gọọmenti, mana egbere ndị na-anata ụgwọ a ndị gọọmenti itinyewuru dịka ndị otu ha na-aga shọpụ dị iche iche wee na-anakọta ụgwọ a. Ụgwọ a dịka n'oge COVID nke mere na 2020, ọtụtụ ndị bịakwa bịa n'ụgwọ a site n'aka gọọmenti nke anyị wakwụkwara. Mana nọkọtazi dịka COVID na-ebenata, ndị ọzọ wee bịa ịnakwa ụgwọ a. Ọ dịzị anyị ghara n'anya si nke a na-abịazi, ọ bụzi na ụgwọ telemafia a na-akwụzi ya ugboro abụọ na otu afọ. So nke ihe ahụ bụ ihe a na-eleba anya na-adịkwa ọ bụ ihe a na-akpọ forgery, maka na ọ bụrụ na anyị edoghị gị na ihe gbasara ihe a, ị nwere ike gbaa ọghọm ịkwụ ụgwọ a ugboro abụọ. Mana n'oge COVID ahụ, dịka mụa mepekwere shop m ọhụrụ, so m chọrọ, ọ dịka ka m chọrọ ịbụ ihe ndị bekee na-akpọ ifon victim na ihe gbasara telemafia tupu m aghọta onwe m. Mana so ọtụtụ ndị bakwara na ọghọm ihe telemafia na-aba ịkwụkwa ụgwọ a ugboro abụọ. So anyị nwere onwe nke anyị ghọtakwa n'onwe anyị. Chukwu na-emekwara ebere, anyị abaghị na ọghọm dị ụta. So ọ bụ ụtọ ọha m n'ọnụ.
It is obvious that all fingers are not equal, and not all of these women can afford a shop, Patricia. Most of the time, we get to see new complexes being built at marketplaces, and trust me, they are not cheap. They are not cheap, and not all of these women can afford the rent. So some of them have to resort to selling their wares by the roadside in the market, and this has made them targets for extortion. Patricia, talking about this, how can we change this? How can we actually change this for a woman whose capital is probably 5,000 naira, and this is all she has to run her business on?
Like I said before, it's very worrisome. From the World Poverty Clock, 17 million Nigerians right now live in extreme poverty, and that is below 900 naira a day. It's worrisome. Imagine. That's 33%. 33% of the population. And if you look at it from the global worldview, they will look at a country like India and say, oh, India has even overtook Nigeria. But India is 1.3 billion. We are just over 200 million. Just about 6%, which is 83 million, 6% is living under the poverty line, maybe less than $1 or less than $1 and $2. You know, so we need to take care of our poor. We need to take care of the poor people, and that's the challenge we have in our society. And I always say, government, all of us need to be aware. I read something sometime about some people living in Lekki and complaining, oh, we left where we are. I think we left where we were living to come to Lekki, and then the talks are now all over.
Yes, I remember that report.
Because we will not look at the poor. We will not collectively, governance is a collective thing. I always say it's not just the government. We also have
a part to play.
We all have a part to play, because the people in the government comes from
society,
from the society. So it is a collective thing. We have to do something within our own space to help and to take care of the poor, no matter how little. It's something we have to live the society where we think more of ourselves, our children, the progress of ourselves and our children. We live the selfish lifestyle and come to a place where we say, if we can't help it, that this is not going to work.
All right.
As I say, it's not just electing the right leaders. We also have to be the right people. We also have to look inwards and try to change, so that in electing the right leaders, we ourselves can say, oh, okay, we're doing the right thing, and we can even show them the way to go.
All right.
So it's so important that we take care of the poor. We take care of these people.
It is important that we actually take care of the poor. Unmasking the Truth on your radio station is an initiative of St. Ives Communication in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. It is important that we get to hear more voices. We need to go back on the street to get more opinions, because these women are actually going through a lot, more than you can imagine, in your own comfortable space.
Ndewono ndị na-ege ntị, ana m ekene unu ụzọ dị iche iche. Ihe mere bụ na shọpụ anyị dị oke ọnụ dịtụ ngwaahịa anyị dịga n'ilo, antu ọbụla na-eji ezigbote ego enwede ngwaahịa ya na ndị nwere anị bụ ndị nwanyị ya bụ na ya na-ati ego ụwa ọbụla, ndị ngwaahịa anyị kwa na-ati gasị ego ọnwa ọbụla, ya na kacha ụmụ okporo ahịa anyị na-akwasa n'ilo, ya na nke dị n'ime ntụ ndị nwanyị ha nakwa ego ilo, ya na ego anị asị ndị ọmụnile ha bụkwa. So ya bụ na ebe m ji ewetara unu okwu a n'abalị n'oge ọwa.
Actually, coach Lokela, Ode Nalo, Mavanya, Yalo, Pulegosa, and that Polo, shop rent, only Lono. I got rent to shop 10 each a month, or Yao 10,000. And Egelu, agent that you got me job, but begging your Lego, maybe you put 10,000 Loma, I gave you 20,000 extra, but when you shop go that okay Lohi, okay so you do have I help a lot they are two adela, especially this I got me shop like a month again 10,000 and 10,000 I got back complete that. When I got back complete, I gave you extra money. That is more than that. You give 10,000 on my coach. Coach, you really show on the touch. I tell you, show bad because they be the drama. If you pay them, show coach. I can
We have heard the voices of these strong women. You can tell from their voices that these people are pained. You can tell that they are tired of all of this taxation, all of this extortion. How much do they make? It is evident that corruption is a big factor affecting the society. Patricia, what are the steps to be taken by the government and leaders of this market and market women association to actually end all of these corrupt practices? Because at the end of the day, even the so-called leaders are also victims of these corrupt practices in the marketplaces.
Well, it's important to note that this government that implemented these taxation laws actually are the ones that create the conditions that force these people to be in the situation that they are in. There is a lot we can do. There's a lot government can do.
Okay.
Why provide shops for these people when it's so exorbitant? The cost of hiring those shops are so. Why can't it be given free to them? Why can't shops be made available to this at a free, even at a minimum rate? They can even be a credit facility where they pay a little amount of money monthly as a rent, a little amount depending on how much they are earning. Why can't we do that? Why can't the government do that so that these issues will not arise? Even this issue of hawking and all this will not arise if they have shops where they can comfortably stay and sell their wares. Then the issue of taxation, multiple taxation would not arise because these things would have been organized together, working together with the community leaders, working together with the Market Women Association, working together with all the stakeholders need to sit down and have a meeting and say, this is how we can, move forward in this direction. So I think that if we have thoughtful leaders, we have people who are interested in the well-being of others, not just ourselves, we'll be able to stop all this. We'll be able, because these people want to make a living. And another thing, information and education is important. All these people, they don't want to really to be traders. They have other skills. We can engage them in skills, especially when we talk about too much hawking on the streets.
Patricia, don't forget that people still have to sell in the market.
Yes, they have to sell. They have to sell. But a lot of people don't necessarily want to be in the market selling. It's just that this is their only option. They have talents. They have gifts. Some are maybe good singers. Some may be good weavers, carvers. But they don't have anybody to help them. So they just carry their tomato or carry pepper and carry pure water, look for a place and do something, because that's the easiest thing you can really do. So if government can be interested in helping and providing skill acquisitions for all these people, then you won't even have all these market women complaining, a lot of them complaining, or the hawkers or people who keep their shops by the streets and the government comes to demolish them. You won't have a lot of them because everybody will be involved in some other thing apart from maybe in the market or trading by the roadside.
All right, Patricia, as we get to wrap up on this conversation this morning, what will be your final words? Your words to the government, your words to these people who go extorting the market women in the market, and also to these women who have to bear the brunt of the corrupt society that we live in?
First and foremost, these task force officials should be very civil. They should be
empathetic
and understand that it's women. You have to have a lot of respect for the woman. Respect the woman. Know that she can't be your mother. She's. I mean, if your mother was a market woman and is being traumatized by tax officials elsewhere, how are you going to feel? Or if your daughter, or if your sister, or if your fiance, how are you going to feel? So it's unpleasant. Even if any of them is trying to go against the laws, they have a lot on them. They are taking, most mothers, the ones taking care of the children in the family. They have a lot. There are things that make them behave that way. So tax force officials should be civil and pleasant when dealing with these women. And then our government should think of ways, and not just demolition, not just tax these people. I think that's part of what caused the About Women riots, the taxes and all that. We don't want a repeat of such kind of things. So we need leaders to show empathy and be thoughtful.
Thank you so much. Pure Gold Ezechi, legal coordinator, Project Women and Youth Network. Thank you so much for unmasking the truth with me, unmasking the truth on corruption with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Do have a wonderful day.
You too, yeah.
Yes. From the big-time traders in the market down to the ordinary food sellers in the market, the story remains the same. Extortion by different government agencies, miscreants, the police, different trade union, tax force officials. These sad tales are endless. These are hard times that we live in. Women are struggling to survive. Family units are breaking down due to financial constraints. Men are struggling to support their wives and children. The economy is bad. This is time for us to work together in unity, for us to fight our common enemy, corruption. Corruption is our common enemy. Let's stop extorting these women. Let's stop taking advantage of these market women because we just think that is all that they have. Please, we should do better. If you have a story on corruption in your community that you would like to share, please send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 317-56537. 070-317-56537. Unmasking the Truth on the Effects of Corruption on Women from the Gender Lens is an initiative of St. Ives Communication in partnership with Voice of Women and supported by the MacArthur Foundation. Thank you to the producer Taiwo Adileye, the production assistant Omozele Omoren, and executive producer Tom Okewale Shonaya. My name is Esther Alaribe. Good morning.
A time for change, to unmask the truth, to unmask the rot in our communities. Unmasking the Truth will focus on the effects of corruption on women, prefer solution and demand for accountability.